Welcome, Facebook live stream viewers. We're so glad to have you with us. We're getting a little bit of a later start today because we've had some technical difficulties, but we've got a great show for you today. We're going to be talking about is kindness and caring really there in the workplace? And I will be talking about that with Rachael Collins, who's here with me in studio. And Rachael is the Chief Improvement Officer for Partners in Prosperity. And she's got a lot of experience going into corporations and trying to help make that environment healthier and happier, right, Rachael?
Exactly, yes.
So please say hello to everybody.
Hello, everyone. And I hope that what we say today helps you in your life and in your workplace.
Cool. And Rachael will be with us in just a few minutes. And right now, are ready to begin the show.
Tired of the rut you're stuck in, but don't know what to do? Change it up. Join life transitions therapist, speaker, and best-selling author Paula Shaw. She'll be exploring topics that make change and the challenge it presents smoother and more productive. She'll also be spotlighting change makers who are leading the charge to make the world a better place. If you're ready to live a more exciting life, at home, in the workplace, and around the world, it's time to step out of your comfort zone and change it up. Now, here's your host, Paula Shaw.
Welcome to Change It Up Radio, here with Paula Shaw. I am so delighted you're with us here in this holiday week because we are looking at some very important issues today. I'm calling this show, Is There Really Care and Kindness in the Workplace? I think so many of us have certain ideas about what the workplace is supposed to be. And certainly in today's world, it's a lot nicer than it was back in the days where you showed up and you worked on that assembly line for hours and hours and you collected your minimum wage. But it's a much more complex scene in the workplace these days. There are a lot of issues we're looking at. You know, there's harassment, there's equal rights, there are many things that have to be considered. So my guest today will be talking about those things, Rachael Collins. She's the Chief Improvement Officer for Partners in Prosperity, and she'll be joining us in just a little while to help educate us about what's really going on in the workplace and what's potentially possible in the workplace as well. So welcome to Change It Up Radio. Those of you who know us know that we are a show all about change. I'm Paula Shaw. I'm an author, I'm a speaker, and a life transition coach. And my work is all about helping people deal with change, because we humans have that love-hate relationship with change. We need it so that we can grow and so that we don't get bored. But on the other hand, we hate the discomfort of the unfamiliar. So change is a challenge. I could probably have called this show Change is a Challenge too. But I love the idea of change it up, because the wonderful thing about we humans is that we are capable of making change. And we're capable of making things better. You know, we aren't always able to choose what life dictates to us or what life sends our way, but we are always in charge of how we receive it and how we respond to it. So here on this show, I feel like our goal is to either bring you change makers who are trying to make the world a better place, and that's who we have today in Rachael Collins. Also, we want to bring you information to try to help you so that change can be smoother and more productive in your own life. So I'm glad you're here. Please stay with us. We've got a lot of great info for you today. And I think you're going to really, really enjoy Rachael Collins, who will be here in just a little bit. So this whole workplace thing got me thinking, you know, times are changing. It's not the way it used to be when everybody just showed up, did their job. Sometimes they were miserable, but they just did their job because that's what they had to do. But now there seems to be more demand on the part of the working people and more awareness on the part of the employers that the workplace needs to be a happy place because people are just plain more productive when they're happier, when they feel good about their surroundings. But one of the keys I think that we're going to be finding today when we talk with Rachael is that at the center of all of it is communication. And this has long been an issue that I have loved talking about because I find communication is a conundrum for people in every scenario imaginable. Now, easy communication, like talking about last night's football game or the latest fashion or what's trending on Twitter, that's easy. None of us has a problem with that. But difficult communication, that one can be tricky. In fact, that's the whole reason that I wrote this book, Saying the Right Thing When You Don't Know What to Say. And I have really enjoyed doing corporate trainings and speaking presentations, working with people on this very issue. Like, why don't we know what to say when the situation is difficult? How can we improve with that? Why isn't it more natural for us to be able to have difficult conversations? So I thought this morning, in preparation for our chat with Rachael, it might be a good idea to look at some of those issues. And this is information from this book, Saying the Right Thing When You Don't Know What to Say, which, by the way, is available on Amazon. And one other thing I want to remember to say here at the beginning of the show is that if you would like to get more information about Change It Up Radio, you can go to changeitupradio.com, and there's all sorts of information there about being a guest, being a sponsor, what we're all about, who our audience is, and all the past shows are also archived there. So you can go to our Listen In tab and check out some of the past guests we've had and listen to some of the great shows that we've done in the past. Also, if you should want more information about me or the kind of work I do, you can find that information at paulashaw.com. And if you're interested in me as a speaker or a trainer at your event or in your company, you can get information about that at paulashawspeaks.com. And I also want to take a moment to thank our sponsors, LifeWave, creators of phototherapy patches that use no drugs and no chemicals to prompt specific responses in your body to improve your life and improve your health. Be sure and check out LifeWave. All right, now let's get back to that communication issue we were talking about. So we all have difficulty in certain scenarios with communication. Well, I won't say we all across the board. There are a few people who have really done the work and perfected their communication. But there's always that situation that's either real personal or very, very close to your own insecurities or perhaps even a past trauma that can bring up difficulty for you in having that conversation. So let's look at some of the other things that shade the way we communicate. So one of the first and most powerful is family, values, and experiences. So how you grew up has a lot to do with who you are as a communicator today. For example, if I grew up in a family where everybody was very dramatic and histrionic and we just said it and we said it loud, I might have a very difficult time communicating with someone who grew up in a stiff upper lip family where we don't air any of the family dirty laundry in public, where we don't talk about things. We're very private people. So you see those two differences in belief and approach can make a huge difference in how people communicate. And what our family believes, whether we think we don't believe it or not, it's very deeply ingrained in us. And it can also put us in a place of judgment that can impede good communication. So what I mean, for example, is if I'm the stiff upper lip person and the person who's in pain, who's trying to talk to me about something, is one of those more dramatic types, it's somewhere in the far reaches of my subconscious. There could very well be a little voice going, okay, calm down. Just keep it together. This isn't the way we need to handle this. And if I'm coming from that energy, that's going to come across in my communication style. So these kinds of things impact us. Now, societal norms can be another thing that impacts our communication. If I grow up in a society where people are very proper and the rules are clear, and I'm trying to communicate with somebody who's just sort of a free spirit, who has no filter and says what's on their mind, again, do you see the disparity in the style, the communication styles? These things can cause problems. Some people are very, very caught up in cultural norms. And if something is going on communication-wise that does not feel appropriate to them culturally, it's very hard not to judge that. For example, if you're at a funeral, I think most of us pretty much come from that cultural norm that at a funeral we whisper, we speak very quietly, and communication is very low and soft. But if someone comes into that same funeral who's just talking in a normal voice, or maybe even thought of something humorous or said something humorous and laughed, you see how my belief in certain cultural norms, that there's a decorum, there's a way to behave in this situation, would prevent me from being able to have good communication and connection with this person. And let's remember, the whole reason that we are communicating is to improve connection, right? I mean, when you talk to anybody, or when you try to explain an idea or a belief, what's the real underlying goal? We're trying to connect. We're trying to experience each other as humans in a more clear way. So let's keep all of those things in mind when we go into our next segment and we start talking with Rachael Collins, whose whole function is to go into organizations and companies to improve the environment for better communication, better connection, and we'll find out what else in just a moment. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back with more Change It Up with Paula Shaw on AM 1170, The Answer.
If you could rebuild your health on a solid foundation, would you do it? Do you have health issues that doctors just can't get to the bottom of, and all they do is prescribe pills to lessen your symptoms? Would you like a better way? Certified FDN practitioner Desiree Long founded Autoimmune Health Freedom because she struggled with health issues from childhood that could not be explained. Today, she lives a vibrant life, free of aches and pains and full of energy to enjoy activities with her family. The life you would like to live. How did she do it? Autoimmune Health Freedom has the tools you need. For a free discovery session, call 858-248-1657 or go to autoimmunehealthfreedom.com. That's autoimmunehealthfreedom.com. Yes, you can feel better again. You can rebuild your health. You can have the life you want. Call 858-248-1657.
Desiree Lawn is not licensed by the state of California as a healing arts practitioner.
Hi, I'm Kelly Klein of One Trust Home Loans, Loan Coach Kelly. A while back, my business was in a slump, and it triggered a lot of self-doubt and fear, and it even had me questioning if I'd made the right career choice. So I booked a session with Paula Shaw, and after hearing my predicament, she explained that when we get into negative, self-sabotaging thinking, and we are being run over by our limiting beliefs, it's almost impossible to create positive outcomes. She helped me clear those destructive thoughts and beliefs using her cutting-edge energy psychology techniques. Not only did I feel a whole lot better after the session, but within 2 weeks, I had 7 loans in my pipeline. I was so glad that I went to see Paula Shaw. And you should too. It really changed my perspective on life, business, and now my business is going great. You can reach her at 626-864-0756. That's 626-864-0756. 626-864-0756. Or check her out at paulashaw.com. That's paulashaw.com.
Welcome back to Change It Up. Now here's your host, Paula Shaw.
Welcome back to Change It Up Radio here with Paula Shaw. And as promised, in studio with me right now is Rachael Collins. And let me tell you a little bit about her before we start talking about this whole issue of kindness and caring and communication in the workplace. She is the founder of Partners in Prosperity and is a serial entrepreneur who's been a successful strategic management and organizational effectiveness consultant for over 30 years. She's worked with industries and companies of every type and size, from well-known startups that are now grown into major brands. She's a communication, problem-solving, and motivation expert who provides optimal business improvement, expertise, organizational effectiveness, and creation of cultural and values and leadership to help her clients increase profitability, productivity, organizational energy, employee commitment, and customer satisfaction. That sounds like a really big job, Rachael. Welcome.
It is. I only go for the big challenges.
So, Rachael, tell us a little bit about who you are and why you founded Partners in Prosperity.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me here. It's such a pleasure to be here and to get to talk on a topic that you're also passionate about. And the reason I started doing this work right out of college, so that was more than 30 years ago, is that I felt right from the time I had my first job that people could be treated better in organizations, and that leaders or founders or business owners often don't seem to really know what it is that creates success in an organization, engagement, commitment, retention. Makes me want to come back and continue to work at this job every day. So really, it's to create better places to work and more successful businesses.
Beautiful. So what is it that you think are the most important things you need to teach business owners? You know, when you walk in that door, what are you looking for? You know, what do you like to see working? What do you not like to see happening?
Yeah.
And what are you really working to teach them to improve the whole thing?
I would say that from the beginning of my career, which is now, since it's several decades, I have a lot of information about how things generally work. And there are exceptions to every rule, and those would be the companies that are exceedingly successful. But generally speaking, there are classic kind of mistakes that I see leaders and founders making. And it usually does just boil down to communication. It's amazing how simple that can be. But behind communication, you also have the issues of compassion and empathy and understanding where that employee is coming from, or even your contractors, you know, what's going on in their life, and they're coming into your work every day. And have you been clear about what you need to tell them to be successful? So basically, when I've done engagements in companies of any size, often the leader hires me to work with the employees. And I'm going, well, let's talk about analyzing first, what's the root cause of this issue you hired me for? Because I'm not going to take your money and not give you the value you deserve. And often when I'm able to do a little bit of analysis in the organization, I usually find that it's related to bosses and or leaders, behavior or communication. And so knowing that, I can talk very specifically about the things that leaders really need to focus on today, especially in order to be successful.
You know, I find myself wondering how much of a problem is fear in the workplace, because how many times have I said to somebody, well, have you talked to your boss about that, or have you discussed that with your colleague? And they're afraid to. They're afraid if they do, it won't go well and they'll lose their job. Do you see that very often?
I would say it's the most common problem that we have in organizations, and such a shame. And I say, unfortunately, I don't want to be judgmental, but kind of shame on leaders if they don't have the ability to create a sense of trust
Right.
with their own employees so that they feel they can tell them what they need, what's going on. That, there's a lot of harassment still in the workplace. Shocking to me. We've had many years that we could clean this up, but
Yeah.
it's still a major issue that I see. And I do recruiting as well. So often I have candidates in front of me and I'm always asking them, why are you leaving the place you're at now? And it's either bad bosses or harassment in most cases, which is really discouraging.
Oh, in this day and age.
It really is, yes.
And I think, I think it was worse in the past because there was no backup for women. If they were being harassed and they complained, they were gone.
Yeah.
But I think still, it just absolutely appalls me that in 2020 almost now, that women have to leave a work situation because they can't get this person to stop doing what they're doing. And it's so unhappy for them, so miserable for them. Are there no, a couple of weeks ago, we had Ryan Nell on the show, and he is an employment attorney.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, are there no laws to protect women in this situation so they don't have to leave the job they may love?
Well, let me clarify that being in a harmful or toxic workplace affects everybody. So all genders. And I'm very careful to always make sure that anyone I'm talking to understands that we speak in no genders anymore at all, because we do have laws about that. And we are all about inclusiveness and equal opportunity for everyone. And so everyone's impacted in a workplace where there are things going on that are harmful to anyone else.
Yes.
And I've had situations in companies I've worked for where men were being impacted by bullying or other factors that were happening in the workplace as well, or even being set up sometimes for things, or being harassed by their boss and not being given the opportunity to move up or whatever it is. So I just want to make that clear because I do training all the time with employment lawyers. We tag team and we give presentations on legal defensibility and everything you need to know in every aspect of your company. And what's really difficult right now is that HR managers and directors and VPs often are not aware of how many laws we have and how many organizations essentially are policing behavior in the workplace. So it's interesting because the laws are there that say, no, you cannot harass or discriminate and all the other things. But at the same time, many, many leaders and founders and managers and HR people are not aware of the laws. So, you have things like OSHA for safety, but the main one, I would say, the main organization that's very active right now is the EEOC. Okay, so Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Yeah. And so I want to make this point, if you are being harassed in the workplace and you do feel like you cannot go to your boss or to your HR person, if there is one, to reveal what's going on, or you don't think you're going to get any satisfaction, you're going to have retaliation, so you're in fear about it, all you have to do is contact the EEOC. You can go online or to an app, and you can file a complaint, and they will investigate it. And I make this point because it's protection for employees, but it's also necessary for leaders to understand it's their responsibility to create a harassment-free and safe and healthy workplace.
And would you say that what EEOC stands for again, so that people can
Equal
hear?
Employment Opportunity Commission.
Okay, great.
Okay, equal employment opportunity for everyone. And that means, basically free of any type of hostile work environment behaviors.
And I know that probably not so much now because it's being talked about, but again, we're here in San Diego where life's kind of very paradise-like in many ways, and also people are more progressive. But there are probably still businesses in this country where people are experiencing bullying, they're experiencing gender discrimination, they're experiencing all those things that, we all, one of the things Ryan mentioned was, people, some people, because of the whole LGBT, I'm not going to remember all the letters now, but you know what I mean. The gender discrimination thing can be a real issue in certain companies.
Yeah.
And so for all of these people who are having any issues, would you suggest EEOC filing a claim there? Okay.
Absolutely. And I was dealing in the Silicon Valley with those issues 25 years ago.
Wow.
Because it was more progressive. We had individuals doing gender change operations who worked
Mm-hmm.
in companies and things like that. And that was kind of like, wow, what do we do? What's accommodation? How are we supposed to act? Well, now it's pretty clear how you are supposed to treat and what you are supposed to do.
Uh-huh.
And again, it really kind of comes down to compassion and awareness for your fellow human being. But I'd like to talk about a couple things beyond just that, if it's okay with you.
Please do, yeah.
Okay, so this is what we have happening in society today that's obviously going to impact people when they walk into work, okay? We are a nation that is really tied to our devices, right?
Amen to that.
Right. And because of that, there's distraction, and often there's a feeling of being more disconnected, which is kind of the opposite of what you would think it would be, and also of being overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So people come to work with what they're experiencing in their life.
Right.
There's also caregiving issues. People are often taking care of a parent as well as maybe their kids' or what have you.
Good point.
Caregiving, almost everyone's doing caregiving these days if they're of a certain age. Then you have that time and energy and financial burden that they're experiencing on top of their normal work hours, their normal family life. Good luck having time for hobbies or fitness. So these are important things. Then also you have just illness of all kinds. We're increasingly having cancers and other illnesses that are weighing people down physically, emotionally, financially. And there's also a high percentage of abuse, fraud, crime, mental illness is at an escalating rate in our country. And the statistics are really, really frightening.
Wow.
They say 50% of teenagers today qualify as being having the criteria for being mentally ill.
Wow.
And I'm in
50%?
Yes, ma'am. And I am in a lot of conferences, and I keep hearing it from professors. I heard it on the radio yesterday, more college professors talking about how there are no mental health resources, enough counseling for these children. I should call them children. They're growing children, they're almost adults. But there are so many life concerns and life issues and bullying and expectations from the internet that I should look like a Kardashian or whomever.
Oh, yeah.
And therefore, it's not really realistic. And so they feel like their life is not up to par. And as a society,
Yes,
we
I've
really
read
need
that.
to help people feel better about themselves. But the point is that all of these things bring into the workplace real human issues. And so I kind of envision, like, if I'm a leader and I'm thinking about every person that crosses the threshold of my organization, that if I could x-ray them, I would say, you know what? What's this person dealing with? What's this person dealing with? And how am I going to help and accommodate so that we can all work together collaboratively and productively?
Which is such a beautiful perspective. I flash back on, oh, my goodness, we've got to go to a break. I got so into what you were saying. We'll be right back with Rachael Collins.
We'll be right back with more Change It Up with Paula Shaw on AM 1170, The Answer.
Hi, Paula Shaw here. I'm so delighted to share with you that LifeWave has become our newest sponsor on Change It Up Radio. My family and I all use their tiny wearable patch technology, and the results are life-changing. My sister had lupus for over 20 years and has never slept well. Now she does. My mom's frozen shoulders simply went away. My favorite is the age-reversing X39, a patch engineered to activate stem cells. Yeah, it's true. They really work to improve how you look, feel, perform, and heal. LifeWave patches use a patented form of phototherapy, using frequencies of light to safely boost health and wellness at the cellular level with no drugs. Learn more online by visiting lifewave.com. That's lifewave.com.
My business has lost its upward momentum. I'm working up to 14 hours a day, but my sales seem to have plateaued. I'm so overwhelmed.
I used to have that same problem, but ever since I found the Balanced Millionaire Consulting Firm, our sales and profits have risen sharply. Even our staff is more engaged, and the atmosphere is full of energy.
I have no time to work on my business to develop new sales and marketing strategies. I would love to expand, have strategic partnerships, and access to financing.
You can do all of that and more. The Balanced Millionaire Consulting Team advises you on streamlining your operations, establishing alliances, and most importantly, increasing your revenues and profits.
Let us help you build value and reduce stress in your business. Take charge. Don't let your business control your life. Visit thebalancedmillionaire.com or call 442-224-0160 for a free consultation. That's 442-224-0160 or thebalancedmillionaire.com.
Welcome back to Change It Up. Now here's your host, Paula Shaw.
Welcome back to Change It Up Radio with Paula Shaw. We are being brought to you today by LifeWave, makers of phototherapy patches to improve your health and your life. All right, and in studio with me now is Rachael Collins, and we have been talking about the realities of what it's like in the workplace today, and the good news that employers are much more concerned about care and kindness and creating a great environment. And I have a feeling that partly that's because employees, or as they're now called, talents and assets, I guess. I read, you have got to see this woman's website. By the way, Rachael, tell them your website so they'll have your contact information.
Okay.
We should have given that, Neil.
I actually have several, but I'll get my main website for my consulting is transformyourbusiness.com. And I spell it a little differently because I abbreviate the YOUR to UR. So it's TRANSFORMURBUSINESS. And there's lots of free information and videos there for anyone, whether you are an employee, a contractor, a leader, or just curious about what we're talking about here.
Yes, and if you want to know more, and also that information will be in the show notes on changeitupradio.com on her show page. So something occurred to me when we were discussing in the last segment, all of the factors that come into play in creating the work environment today. Like you were discussing, people are bringing into the office with them maybe the caregiving they had to do until the wee hours the night before, or the marriage that's falling apart, or the bullying they're going through, or, we all have lives outside of the office. So all this comes into the workplace. And another thing that occurred to me, being the mother of two millennials, I know they're a different sort of animal.
Yeah.
So are they making things different in the workplace as well?
They definitely are. And I truly appreciate that generation and the generations behind them because they operate somewhat differently in how they think about things. And they're really disruptors for the workplace because they're saying, we don't like the style of command and control and hierarchy. And they're actually saying some of the things I've been saying for 25 years, which
the
is
style of command to control. Is that what you said?
correct. Command to control. As
Is that
opposed
sort of
to,
up, down, right?
Right. As
Yeah.
opposed to, we're all participating in this endeavor together.
Right,
We're all
side by
here to
side.
make this business successful.
Yes.
And hopefully to be able to be valued for that and to improve our own skills and abilities while we're doing that. So the millennials are basically requiring that an organization that might employ them, and of course everyone needs to hire, we're in a huge talent shortage, be somewhat more participative, be less hierarchical. I've always been talking about how, working cross-functionally is important. No more stovetype business, finance, and marketing. There are better ways to do work, and that's what I help leaders understand. We can create better places for everyone to do work.
That's huge. That's really huge. And in a way, I'm sure, leader, it's a kind of a blessing curse thing, right? It's making people change, but
Yes.
that's a blessing because
Yes.
that change needed to happen anyway.
Yes.
So what else do leaders need to know? What other kinds of changes do they need to make?
So I think just number one, it's having awareness. You're working with human beings. And as I say in one of my videos on my website, until we're all robotic, which may happen one day, we are human beings working with each other. And that's a great and wonderful thing. And every day we have an opportunity to do it better and build more collaborative, valued relationships. And the leaders just cannot be in denial that employees cannot check their real self at the door. And so what's really important right now that's being borne out by, social proof is the trends in leadership. The words, the buzzwords are soft power and kindness and compassion and conscious capitalism. And it's really confusing, I believe, probably for most founders of organizations, business owners, leaders are not quite sure what all this means.
Yeah.
And only now are the books coming down the pike, which a lot of people don't have time to read. And so, if you or I consult with a company, in an hour we explain, okay, how you integrate these concepts so that you can basically improve your workforce, your workplace. And what it really does, though, is the onus is going to be on the leaders, which is not just the founder or just the CEO, but all the leaders. That goes all the way down to management supervisors.
Right.
To learn how to be emotionally intelligent. If there was one thing I would say we can teach is emotional intelligence, so that you really do know how to work with other people most effectively and constructively. And maybe you did not learn that in your home of origin, because most of us didn't have the most functional childhood, and that's just how it is. So let's all have compassion for each other on that score to begin with. But we can all learn emotional intelligence and how to be better at communicating with each other and helping each other to be successful.
Oh, that was my battle cry in this book I was talking about earlier that I wrote, Saying the Right Thing When You Don't Know What to Say. It's all about the communication that happens that hurts people and the communication that doesn't happen that hurts people.
And when you say that, what is coming to my mind immediately is the number one thing that I think a manager or supervisor could go to that is going to immediately assist in a conversation is not just say, well, first of all, don't invalidate what the other person just said to you.
Exactly.
Make sure you're reaching out and asking them, what do you need? But also, instead of always just saying, well, what do you think about that? How do you feel about that?
Yes.
We're human beings. We have feelings. I mean, that's what makes us different from the door, So really, let's just speak with each other. And that's the terminology people are not comfortable with. How do we talk about feeling?
Right.
We need to get over that.
We really do. Because it's so easy to talk facts and figures and fashion or talk about what other people are doing.
Yes.
That's what people tend to do. They distract themselves talking about what other people are doing, whether it's celebrities or their neighbor or their mother.
Right.
Right. But they aren't talking about what they're experiencing and feeling. And like you said, it's sort of like we all come to work powder kegs ready to blow from all the things that are going on.
Increasingly so.
Yes. Last week I did a show on baby boomers. And one of the statistics I gave that I was blown away by myself, by 2060, the population of boomers will have doubled from 42 million to nearly 98 million, more than doubled.
Right.
So you made a good point. If your parents are of a certain age, you're caregiving, probably.
Yes.
Or at least you're distracted with the care of your parents, whether they're in some sort of a facility or they're at home by themselves or whatever.
Yeah.
This is a big distraction in the workplace.
And often a big financial burden that might take away from your retirement. And this is a huge reality. So what I'd like to say is that another thing that leaders can really do to help themselves build organizations that attract talent is you really need to think about the benefits that employees really want. And of course, we need comprehensive health insurance, which is challenging in of itself. But there are other really super creative things that I've been talking about for years you can do. And right now, a lot of the millennial and younger than them generation populations, they want to be reimbursed, if possible, for the loans they took out to get through college because it's such a huge burden. And many companies that I work with are doing that.
They are?
Yes, they have loan repayment programs.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It is. And it's wonderful because you are meeting somebody where they have a need, a benefit that really matters.
Yes.
Okay. And so then there's compensation for childcare possibly. And the millennial generation and the younger generations, they really want to volunteer. They're more socially conscious. So I was at an event serving an early Thanksgiving dinner for a population last week in Sedona. And there were people there from Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo gives paid volunteer time to their employees.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Fabulous. Yes.
Wow.
Right? How wonderful.
Paid
volunteer time. More and more companies are becoming socially conscious in that regard. Another thing that's important to employees is having some type of counseling, credit counseling, or counseling around investments, because maybe they're not going to learn that in school, quite frankly, right? But these are the things that, you need to be thinking about not just the standard old things,
Right.
wellness, workplace wellness, don't burn people out, have respect for their personal life, have some type of flex time. Those are the most critical things that leaders can do right now.
That's so important and
Yeah.
such great stuff. And I
Yeah.
know the flex time thing can be so great for moms too. Like if they can work shorter amount of days, but maybe longer, so
Yeah.
they can arrange childcare on those days and then have more free time for their children. That's beautiful too.
I would say moms and dads. I'd caution you around that because
Yeah,
there are a
thank
lot
you.
of single parents
You're
right now
right.
that are dads
Mhm.
or co-parenting that are divorced
Mhm.
or never lived, never married, and they're not cohabitating. So the child goes between multiple
Right.
homes, sometimes 3 or 4 homes, depending on how many other relationships.
Good point.
So right, we're all in this business where we need parental leave
Mhm.
and flex time to assist, helping our children too to build healthier lives for
And
themselves.
make us happier.
Yeah.
And we are so close out of time. This
Yeah,
has gone
yeah,
so
yeah.
fast, but there's a project that you're pretty passionate about. Do you want to
Yeah.
share that and your contact info one more
Yeah,
time?
I appreciate that. So I am very socially conscious, and abuse in families and intimate partner abuse is really escalating right now. Tens of thousands of women are in the streets of France, petitioning the president to help them to stop people actually being abused and killed. We have a bigger problem in the U.S. So I have a nonprofit called Emerge, and we are going to be, educating and advocating around that topic. But also, we're going to have a march across the United States, just kind of like what they're doing in France right now, and that's going to be on Saturday, February 8th. So I will be
Okay.
able to put information out about that. I'm sure people will hear about it through Facebook. My contact information, my email is rc@transformyourbusiness.com, transformyourbusiness.com. And if I can help anyone with any issues you have, please feel free to contact me. It would be my privilege to help you.
Rachel, thank you so much for all this great information you've given us today. And I will be in the streets with you on February 8th.
Super.
And we will
Thank
be
you.
right back. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with more Change It Up with Paula Shaw on AM 1170, The Answer.
Jack Gutman survived World War II and then returned home to the hardest fight of his life with PTSD and alcoholism. Now at age 93, he's a businessman and comedian, sharing his message of recovery and hope in his new book, One Veteran's Journey to Heal the Wounds of War, helping our heroes and anyone who has experienced PTSD find happiness again. Get Jack Gutman's new book, One Veteran's Journey to Heal the Wounds of War, at Amazon.com, or to order a signed copy, call 714-525-4954.
For those looking to improve their lives, there's nobody better to turn to than Paula Shaw. Paula helps people regain successful lives by identifying and eliminating self-sabotaging behavior using a multitude of mind-body techniques to identify and resolve their core issues. Working with a wide variety of healing modalities, she provides her clients with the most effective process for their specific needs. To book a session with Paula, call 858-480-9234. That's 858-480-9234.
Welcome back to Change It Up. Now here's your host, Paula Shaw.
Welcome back to Change It Up Radio with Paula Shaw. Wasn't that a great couple of segments we had with Rachel Collins? Boy, I hope all of you learned as much as I did about what's going on, the changes in the workplace, and I think so much for the better. So now we're going to answer some emails to wrap up our show here. Todd, do we have an email that we can look at?
Yes, we have a couple emails. The first one reads, Dear Paula, last week you talked to Jim Caldwell from LifeWave about phototherapy patches and all the wonderful things they do. I am wondering if you use them. I thought you said you did, but I'm not sure. And I'm wondering how you learn more or order patches. Signed, Sheila.
Well, Sheila, I'm actually very glad you asked that question because, as you're all aware, LifeWave is the sponsor of this radio show, and I am a huge fan of the patches. That's one of the reasons why they are a sponsor of this show. And just to give you a little quick background, what's so wonderful about them, in my estimation, is they use no drugs and no chemicals. There's no transdermal action that happens, even though you put a patch on your skin, like I'm always wearing some. They look just kind of like a little round Band-Aid, but they contain nanocrystals that are programmed with certain frequencies to tell the nerves of the body to do different things. So as I mentioned, I think I may have mentioned in that show, my mother had a shoulder that was constantly painful that is working perfectly normally now. My sister had sleep issues for years. I know I was always good at falling asleep, but then if I woke up, my very busy mind would get going and it was hard to go back to sleep. And a combination of the Eon patch and the Alavita patch are on my neck every single night. So you ask, do I use them myself? Absolutely. The energy patches are amazing for keeping a nice, consistent flow of energy going throughout the day. None of that spiking kind of stuff like you get with caffeine. I'm a big fan of Eon in my work as well as in my own life, because Eon is not only anti-inflammatory, but it's anti-stress. It's a calmer. So very often, if someone comes in for a session, and remember, I'm dealing with people who are dealing with the upheaval of change. And so oftentimes they come in and they are crying, they're agitated, they're sad, depending on how they're responding to the changes in their life. And one of the first things I often do is ask if I might put this patch on them. And I put it on the back of their neck, on the C7 vertebra. And you can almost watch them like take a big breath and then start to calm down. So yes, I use them in my own life. I'm a big fan. In fact, a couple of years ago, long before LifeWave was a sponsor, I joined the LifeWave community. And so I would like to say to everybody, I'm happy to have a chat with you about these patches. And if you go to lifewave.com/safe health, that's lifewave.com/safe health, that's my website for these products. And if you want to speak with me about them, please feel free to email me at paula@changeitupradio.com, or you can call 626-864-0756. Hopefully that will give you all the information that you need. All right. Always my pleasure to talk about those patches. Okay, Todd, do we have another email?
Yes, we have one more. This one reads, Dear Paula, my best friend at the office just got fired, and it was a real shock to her and all of us. I'm in a weird place because I don't know if I should call her and discuss it in a direct manner, wait a while, say nothing, or wait for her to contact me. It's so awkward, and I don't want to upset her more by bringing it up, if that's a good idea. I also don't want her to think I don't care or that I'm not here for her. What should I do? Signed, Larissa.
Oh, Larissa, you just summed up probably everything that Rachael and I were discussing and more. So often when this kind of thing happens in a person's life, whether it's in the workplace or in their own life, we go through these quandaries of, should I say something? Should I bring it up? I don't want to upset them. Maybe they're doing okay. I don't want to make them sad. And here's what I want to say about that. When somebody has gone through any kind of a significant change or loss, they are aware of it 24/7. You're not going to make them feel bad because you bring it up, because they're already thinking about it. They're already feeling badly about it. So, but the danger I worry about more is that that person will feel isolated and abandoned by everyone who does not bring it up. So whether it's your friend being fired or somebody's mother dying or a move that's coming unexpectedly or a financial disaster, we are herding mammals. We need the herd, and we need to be comforted by the herd when we're herding. That was sort of a use of words that was a little confusing, but you know what I'm saying? When we are hurting, we need the comfort of other humans. So there is no way you can go wrong by bringing this up. And you can do it in a way that's not invasive. You can simply say, I know what happened, and I know you must be having a lot of feelings about that. Do you want to talk? Now you're giving that person choice. If they don't want to talk, they don't have to talk. But if they're really needing to talk, or if they're feeling sad, and prepare yourself, they might just burst into tears because somebody finally gave them the opportunity to express their feelings. It's so difficult when we're going through hard times to handle it all alone. So I think there is no way you can abuse your friend except to ignore this issue. But if you step in and you say, hey, I'm here for you. If you want to talk, let's talk. If you want to just hang out and watch a movie, let's hang out and watch a movie. But I know you're going through something painful and difficult, and I'm here for you. And I tell you, when I give this particular advice, I'm haunted in a way by something that happened in my own life many years ago, before I was a therapist and before I knew these things that I now know and understand about communication. And my best friend had gotten pregnant, and then early on in the pregnancy lost the baby. And I was there for her as far as saying, let's go to lunch, and trying to cheer her up and calling and checking on how she was. But in all of that activity, I never looked at her and said, how are you feeling? What's going on? What is this like for you? My heart aches for you. I never uttered any of those sentences. And I got to tell you, it haunts me to today, because months later, when she was doing better, then I said to her, what was it like for you when you were going through that? How was it at work? And she said to me, the hardest thing was that nobody brought it up. And she said, so I didn't bring it up because I didn't want to bum anybody else out. And I'm telling you, we all know somebody that's going through something, and they don't want to bring it up and ruin our day. And yet their day is consumed with the pain that they're feeling over their loss or over this unexpected change that's happened to them. So if this situation is ringing a bell for any of you, if you know somebody who could really benefit from you just saying, hey, I just wanted to check in and see how you're doing with such and such. If you have that opportunity in your life, take it. Take it. Because the worst thing that can happen is they can say, oh, no, I'm doing fine. But maybe you'll provide that shoulder they need, that open heart that they need, that willing ear to listen to what's really going on with them. If you have that opportunity, please take it. Don't end up regretting, as I regret, that you didn't do that at some point in time for your best friend. All right, and that is going to end our show for today. Remember that you can hear Change It Up Radio on AM 1170 and 96.1 FM, The Answer, on Sunday evenings at 9 o'clock. We are also on iHeartRadio and every major podcast platform. And you can always find us on changeitupradio.com and on our Facebook page, Change It Up Radio, where we are right now live streaming this show. So all those shows live on that page as well. Thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you to Rachael Collins, who shared some wonderful information with us. And be sure to check out the show notes of this show for her information. if you'd love to learn more or get in touch with her to help your business. All right, we'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Change It Up with life transitions expert, speaker, and best-selling author Paula Shaw. Join the Change It Up movement with Paula Shaw as we explore topics that inspire, welcome change, and create a new kind of conversation. To learn more about Paula, how to be a guest on the show, and sponsorship opportunities, visit changeitupradio.com. Whether you're feeling happy, sad, mad, or glad, it never hurts to change it up.
So, Facebook viewers, thank you so much for being with us today. And I just wanted to give Rachel one last chance to say goodbye to you and give them your contact information one more time. Please, Rachel.
I just want to say everyone deserves to be treated well at work. So go advocate for yourself. And if you're a leader, please help everyone else. My email is rc@transformyourbusiness.com, which is spelled TRANSFORMURBUSINESS.com.
I was having trouble tracking myself. I was hoping you were going to get it because I would have been no good jumping in.
I say it so often, it's almost rote.
Thank you, Rachel. And again, that email address will be in the show notes on changeitupradio.com. Thanks for being with us, and we'll see you next week. And by the way, to our Facebook viewers, have a beautiful Thanksgiving with people you love. And if anybody you know is hurting on that day, give them a hug and let them know you're there for them if they need to talk. Right. All right. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All righty. Now I need to turn.
It's a wonderful show.